Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday, right? 9:33. Can you all see the moon? It looks so pretty, right? I got it earlier where it was like the sky was like super blue and pretty. Ay, ay, ay. I had a headache type of day today. And by that I mean I had a headache all day, like all freaking day long. It finally went away right now. But it wasn't very pleasant earlier. That's for sure. I didn't really wake up with it. I got it like right after breakfast, which was like around 10:30. All of a sudden, I don't know, I just got this bad. I took an Excedrin, and as you can see, it took all day for it to kick in. I even took a little nap to see if it would help. But during my nap, I kept waking up, and it was still there. And then my husband called, and I started to get it really bad again. And I tried to calm myself down, and I don't know what's going on. And like right now, it is gone, but it's kind of still there, if you know what I mean. Like, the Excedrin kicked in, it took the edge off of it, but it's still kind of there. I don't have my counseling appointment until Friday, which seems like a long ways away. I don't know why she took so long to give me my appointment. It's supposed to be every 2 weeks, and this time it was 3 weeks. So when I see her on Friday, I'm gonna ask her if, can we please make it every 2 weeks, because this time it was 3 weeks, and it was 3 weeks too long, like almost a month later. I had the worst 2 weeks of my life before my appointment. Like, I honestly don't know what's going on with me. I'm missing my parents a lot, both of them. And I don't know. I was getting like flashbacks earlier today and yesterday. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting there watching something, and then all of a sudden I get a flashback of being at my mom's house, sitting on the couch, watching something, and I start to freak out because I'm like, whoa, where is this coming from, And same thing happened today. I was watching Dance Moms, and then all of a sudden, I didn't get a flashback from my past, but I got a flashback. Well, yeah, I guess technically it is from my past, because I got a flashback from the old apartment of when I was going through that little crisis that I went through, and I was like, oh hell no, I don't want to remember that. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to watch Dance Moms. And this is someone who would watch Dance Moms all the time, and for some reason, like, I don't know, I just didn't like that memory, and I was like, I'm not gonna watch it. So I stopped watching it, and I ended up watching The Walking Dead again. Like, that's another thing I have a problem with. Like, I keep watching The Walking Dead all the way up until now. They threw in Fear the Walking Dead, which I've mentioned before that I hate. I don't like Fear the Walking Dead. That show had potential, but the writers just didn't give it any. And even one of the actors ended up leaving right away. He didn't even want to be in it anymore. I I don't blame him, you know. But anyhow, so it wasn't even that show that I like. I watched The Walking Dead up until a certain time, and then that show kicks in, and I'm like, forget it. And there hasn't been anything else on, so I was listening to this creator. He comes out around 4. Today he came on a little later, and he just finished right now. Usually he stays on a little bit later than this. He'll stay on till about 11 or 12, but this time he ended it. I think he was just getting bored himself, you know, because he's been coming on every day around the same time for hours at a time, and he probably just ran out of stuff to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about the Diddy thing. I don't even know what to say about that other than, you know, the justice system, you know who the ruler is there, and it's not God. You know, hello, Devil's Advocate, remember that movie? So we know who's in control of the justice system. So of course, that's why evil people get away with their evil things, because the enemy is the one who runs the justice system. If it had been anybody else other than Diddy up there, like just a regular person, they would not have gotten away with it. Now, I, for one, am very, very tired of having jurors up there that swear up and down, oh yeah, we're going to do our best to draw the right verdict, and, you know, we're going to listen to all the evidence, and then, no, they let the bad people get away with everything, because they're really not there for justice. And so, you know, I know that for years and years and years, we've had this going on where we pick out a jury, you know, and they get to decide. But something needs to change. Because, like I said, there are people there that aren't really seeking justice. They really aren't. And they really don't care. I remember when I've served in 2 cases as a juror. One of them was a civil case, and the other one was a criminal. And on the criminal case, it was, I think I've spoken about this before, it was a 40-some-year-old who had relations with I believe she was 15. And, you know, we heard all the evidence. There was lack of evidence, if anything. There was lack of evidence of everything she was saying happened to her. And also, you know, that there were men in this jury along with myself and other women, and these men were the ones that were coming down harder. Like, they wanted like the full punishment for this guy, right? And I was like, no, there's something there that's just not right. There's something missing. You know, we examined whatever evidence that they had, and it wasn't even enough. Like, there was no proof there. And I was just in total, I was the only one that was in disagreement. So everybody was like, so we just make it a hung jury or what? You know, because I was just disagreeing with everybody. And then this other guy that was there, I'll never forget it, he was like, I just want to go home to my family. I don't want to be here. We were already there for like 2 weeks deliberating. And all he could think about was wanting to go home to his family. So as mentioned, it wasn't even about the justice. It was just he wanted to go home to his family. So it was between me and him as to how we were going to decide how we were going to do all this, right? And so these men kept trying to convince me, look, he's an older man, he did this, da 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 da. And I kept saying, where's the proof? Where's the proof? And nobody could give me any of that proof. And because the other guy said that, he wanted to go home, I was like, you know what, fine, I'll go with whatever you all said, but I'm not going to go for the full punishment. Yeah, he deserves to get something, but I'm not going to go for the full punishment. So we negotiated that way. He got lesser time, which wasn't really that much less of a time, but it was lesser of a time. And I can't remember the exact detail of how much he was going to serve, but he was going to spend Thanksgiving in prison, And anyhow, after all was said and done, the lawyers came in and talked to us. They thanked us. And then they asked, okay, so who was the person that couldn't decide? Like, we heard there was one person here that really couldn't decide. And they all pointed at me, and they're like, really? Like, they didn't expect me, a girl, a female, a woman, to question anything. They thought for sure women were going to side with this young girl, right? And so they were asking me why, what happened, and then somebody asked, who's Tony? Because she mentioned, the victim mentioned that this guy was just like Tony. This guy was her brother-in-law. Yeah, her brother-in-law. He was married to her sister. And apparently Tony was another man she had relations with at one time or another. That happened to be her sister's boyfriend before she got married to this guy, right? Anyhow, everybody was in shock when the lawyer said, oh, well, he was a boyfriend of the sister before she married this guy that this, young girl had relations with, and accused of R, right? And everybody was like, what? And I was just like, I told you all there was something there. I told you all there's something missing. Nobody listened to me, and everybody was in shock. But then again, everybody just wanted to go home to their family. They didn't even care anymore at that point. And I ran into the other guy, the one that he and I were undecided towards the end. I ran into him at the grocery store. I'll never forget it. He recognized me right away. He said hello to me, and he said that he regretted his decision, that he should have listened to me. And I said, well, it's too late now. But, the thing is that, yeah, he did deserve some punishment because it is considered statutory rape. I said, however, not what we gave him. He didn't deserve what we gave him, And I said, and it's too late. Maybe he can appeal. If anything, he could appeal. That's on him and his lawyer now, and it's out of our hands. And I never saw that guy again. And so my point is that when you're a juror and it goes on for that long, there's always going to be those people that really do not want to be there anymore. They thought it was fun at first. They thought it was cool that they got selected. They're like, ooh, extra money. And then they realize, oh no, some employers, they're either like, you take that check or you take this check. Which one? But you're not going to get both. Some are okay with giving both, but they realize what they signed up for and they don't like it. And they hate that they have to be stuck there all day and can only go to lunch when being told to go to lunch, and then have to come right back. You can't talk to anybody. You can't discuss the case, and you're just trapped in a room. And it can go on for 2 weeks. It can go on for a month, however long. But some people crack. Some people are just like, you know what? I will go with whatever anybody else wants. I just want to get the hell out of here. And it's unfortunate that happens. It is very unfortunate because there is no justice served. And so a lot of people were already pushing that Diddy was going to walk. They were convinced, and they tried to convince everybody else, Diddy's is going to walk. And from what I heard, he's going to be there till October, which is at least something is better than nothing. And he was denied bail. Again, something is better than nothing. But, shame on those people that interfere with justice. You're not even a juror on the case. What the hell is it to you? Why does it bother you that this person might spend the rest of his life in prison or may not? What is it to you? Why are you so triggered by it? Why are you so upset? Like, why? Like, why don't you want justice served? And there are so many cases like that where I'm like, why are people interfering? What is your malfunction? Honestly, what is your malfunction? Why do you care so much about something that you don't really care about? You don't want justice for this person. Then why do you care? Why are you on YouTube trying to poison everybody else that you get a hold of just so you can sit back and laugh about it? Oh, but I bet if it happened to somebody in your family, you would want justice, right? You wouldn't be like, oh, well, that person should just be set free. You would want justice. Unless you're really that corrupted and soulless that you don't really give a crap. Because there is something in it for you. And you know what? What comes around goes around. Because with people like that, when something does happen to you, guess what? The world's not going to care either. They're going to turn the other way. They're going to remember everything you said. And they're going to turn the other way and be like, oh, well, they're gone. Justice or not my problem. I'm still here. It's sad, but it's true. I, for one, can't imagine turning away from that. Like, do you not understand that because of the injustice, it's harder for victims to come out with anything at all? For what? They go to court and they're going to be let down. So what are victims supposed to do? Any victim of DV or SA or murder, what are their families supposed to do? Like anybody interfering with justice, how can you live with yourself? Honestly, how can you live with yourself? How can you wake up every morning and not have a conscience? How can you laugh? Like, I understand that you want people to perceive you as not giving a crap about anything and that you're happy and you're living your best life, quote unquote. But are you really? Can you really sleep at night? Or do you have to like self-medicate in some way? Either drinking or smoking or doing unprescribed medications? The jury didn't get it right. And there needs to be something done about that. Either attorneys have to be more selective when they pick out their jurors, actually do the background checks, and not just pick anybody based on their religion, profession, or looks, or age. Because at the end of the day, none of that matters. It matters if that person has a conscience or not. I don't even know why I got into this. I think it's because I'm just very angry at the justice system. But again, once again, it's ran by Satan. It's not ran by God. But we need to be the change. We need to do the right thing. Anyhow, love you all. Thank you for listening. I hope you all had a wonderful Wednesday. Tomorrow is finally Thursday. It doesn't even feel like a Thursday to me. But we'll see what tomorrow brings. Hugs, loves, and prayers.